What's up, everybody? Welcome to BioS3 Story Time. That's right, kids. It's time for story time again. We haven't had one in a while. So, today, the story that we're going to tell is about the creation of Levrone formula, which is the supplement that Kevin put out a couple years ago. I think 2009 is when it came out. And we're going to begin in the beginning. That makes sense. So, Kevin, he never really used supplements. You know, he would try maybe things here and there, but nothing ever stuck with him. He always did it through real foods and stuff like that. And he decided to make his transformation, his comeback on Levrone Report. So at this point, he said, you know what, like back then, you know, I did steroids, I did drugs, I did, you know, whatever, but never did supplements. So let's see how far I can go naturally. But let's see if there's like a nutritional supplement that can give me a boost that, you know, would help me out with this stuff. So he kind of looked around a little bit, and we all looked and said, this is what's out now, and this is what's happening, this is what people are using. He was like, you know what, there's a lot of shit in here that I can't even pronounce. I can't even read the labels. There's so much stuff in here. And Kevin's big on like, let's just make it ourselves. You know, like we were doing forums and stuff before with Kevin Q&A and some forums, and he was like, why don't we start our own website, make our own forums? So we made m3muscle.com that year. And so now he's like, let's make our own supplement. I'm going to make the Levrone formula. Okay, whatever. So now he says, you know, I want to make it so it's 100% natural. So there's not many ingredients in it. It's natural. There's no artificial flavors in it. It's no junk, no garbage. It doesn't wire you out through your skull with caffeine. It's something that is going to give you a great pump and help you really build solid, lean muscle tissue and be a legit product, because I don't want to put my name on it if it's not legit. So, you know, we start researching these different things that are going into it, and he knew that I was big on supplements. And I have been big on supplements. So he came to me with this thing that him and a friend of his, I can't remember who had come up with it. And we looked at it, and I said, you know what, maybe you would change this, maybe you would change that. So we started kind of messing with the formula a little bit, tweaking it. And he sent it to the lab, which was the company that was going to make it for him. And then they would send us samples of this stuff. So we'd get these little bags, like Ziploc bags of like powder that had like one serving in it. And there would be different mixes in it. There would be different flavors in them. Well, each individual bag had a different mix or different flavor, whatever. Now, at the same time, at that year that I met Carrie. So Carrie came for her first time to visit in 2009 to Maryland. And we had just gotten some of the Levrone formula samples in. So we're all at the gym. Now, she hadn't met Kevin. When we met at the Pittsburgh in 2009, she was competing, I was competing. So she was backstage. I didn't really know her. So she didn't meet Kevin. She didn't meet my buddy Rick. It was just kind of a, you know, a quick, fast-paced thing backstage that you're getting ready to go on stage and stuff. We exchanged numbers, so we kept in touch, and then we started dating long distance. Long story short, she comes to visit me in Maryland, and we go to the gym. So now, you know, she's going to meet Kevin and, you know, my friends and see my gym and stuff for the first time and all this stuff. So we're sitting on the couch, and Kevin says, hey, here's the Levrone samples. He pulls out these bags. It looks like bags of drugs because there's all these powder. Nothing's labeled. So we start pouring them in water bottles and start, you know, kind of smelling them, shaking them up, taking sips of them and stuff. We're like, oh, this one tastes good. You try it. So we're like sharing them at the couch. So Kevin takes a couple guzzles of this one, and he sits there, and like 5 minutes, like not even 5 minutes into it, we're talking and stuff. He goes, man, I'm starting to get that tingle. So we're like, tingle? There was niacin in the product to give you a flush, but none of us were feeling it, and he was, which was weird. So he goes, man, I'm going to go work out. He can do a couple sets and see how it feels. So me, Rick, and Carrie are sitting on the couches, and we're talking and stuff. We're having, you know, just discussions about whatever. And meanwhile, he's going to do a few sets of curls and stuff. He comes back a few minutes later, and his arms are blown up. I mean, they are ginormous compared to what they were 10 minutes before. And he goes, yeah, man. And you could see the flush through his skin. Like, the niacin actually kicked in within a few minutes, which normally takes like 15, 20 minutes to kick in. But, you know, it actually kicked in really fast with him. Like, you can understand now, you know, how fast his metabolism kicked in. So he says, yeah. He goes, and I got a good pump. I did 2 sets of buys, 2 sets of tries, like 2 sets. And it looked like his whole arm had inflated. So he said, yeah, you know, well, we're going to take off. We're going to go here or there or whatever, go grab something to eat. Let's all meet up at Rick's house later on. So now, this is probably like, I don't know, 3 in the afternoon, 2:30, 3 o'clock in the afternoon. So me and Carrie go off to the mall to get something. She forgot something in Montana. We go to the mall to get something, and we wind up eating and then going back to Rick's house at like 8:30, 9 o'clock at night. Now, this is like 6, 7 hours later. So we walk in, and Kevin's still wearing the sleeveless shirt, and his arms still have the pump. It's like 7 hours later. So I'm sitting there, I'm going, how the hell? And I never even felt the tingle. It never even really kicked in me. And I'm like, how the hell does he keep a pump for like 7 hours. And he said, he's going like this. He's going, yeah, it still feels, it feels pretty tight. You know, I'm like, I lose a pump in like 20 minutes when I walk out of the gym. How? You know, it didn't make any sense to me. This is one of those things that we go back to with the genetics is, you know, like his body absorbed that pre-workout drink very quickly. Now, some people go, well, he had an empty stomach, whatever. I had an empty stomach, too. It didn't hit me like that. Carrie had an empty stomach. She didn't hit her like that. Rick, I don't know if he had eaten or not, but didn't hit him like that. So the point is like, it didn't work on anybody like it worked on him. And as he got the pump, what the hell? Nobody keeps a pump like that. I mean, except for Brandon Ray. When Brandon used to train at our gym, IFB Pro Brandon Ray, he would keep the pump all day long, too. So it's like, it's a genetic thing. Like, you have the genetics, so you don't. So that was at the point where Kevin was still tweaking things here and there to try to get the right formula until it finally came out in the little cans, and we got a few of those little cans. The company had shipped them to us. They were already labeled up, and we started using them, and the product worked great. Didn't have stims in it, which is why it didn't do so well in America, and people didn't believe that it was a legit product. They're like, oh, Levrone, you know, he probably just had some formula someone made. He threw a label on it with his name, and it actually wasn't that. It actually took a lot of experimenting and messing and tweaking until it finally got what he wanted it to do, and he used that for his transformation. And now, as that transformation happened, he grew so fast back in the gym that he was accused of being on steroids again. So, you know, now he says, you know, what am I supposed to do? I mean, you know, people are telling me that they think I'm on steroids. I say no. I mean, what am I supposed to do? So Dave Palumbo paid for, on RX Muscle, a drug test, a drug screen to give Kevin. And it wasn't like he had a month to get the drug screen. It was like a few days to a week. We said, we'll do a drug screen, you get the results. And because Dave Palumbo didn't believe he was natural either. He was one of the people that said that he's got to be taking something, he's got to be on steroids. And they did the test. It came out negative for everything. High testosterone, winstrol, all that stuff came out negative. Now at this point, Dave was like, wow, that's pretty impressive. He's like, well, what are you doing to get the gains? And Kevin says, I'm using my formula. So now Dave says, oh, he's trying to promote his own products, how great it is, et cetera, et cetera. But the bottom line is, I can tell you guys to your face, because you guys know I'm not going to bullshit you, is that's exactly what he did. He used his formula that he actually made one ingredient at a time and grew like that. And it got to the point where he actually said, I don't enjoy being this big anymore again. I don't like having all this muscle. And he just stopped training and dieted back down again to get the muscle off. And that's what he does. When he gets to a certain size, he hates it. He comes back down. So that is the story of the Levrone formula that Kevin put together. I was involved in it. We were both involved in the M3Muscle.com together. And that's how it was invented. It was 100% legit. We all did use it. Kevin did use it. And it wasn't a bullshit story to sell supplements like some people thought it was. biorecitraining@gmail.com. Leave comments down below. www.biorecitraining.com is the blog, and we're out.